for instance, in the dojo. There are certain modes of behavior and expected behaviors that are required in order to have a well-functioning and the indication of a disciplined dojo, which implies also health, safety, and hygiene through that discipline. Training in close proximity to someone who has not washed their keikogi in a while creates a very negative externality, and it is therefore expected that whoever operates that dojo will enforce certain standards of behavior, and those that do not live up to those expectations needs to be excluded, and that creates that incentive for people to behave correctly. Ostracism is a very strong incentive, and that also needs to be recognized as inherent to private property legal standard, because again, private property includes the right to allow people to participate or to exclude people from participating. And that's a very important aspect of social hygiene, an aspect of which is curtailed by the intervention of politics that distort the law and prevent people from including or excluding based on their preferences and contracts, which is another reason why we see the de-civilization of society unfolding. It's due to state interventions and the perversion of law by undermining property rights. And similarly, we come back to the idea of an armed society as a polite society, that manners are about the lubrication of society, meaning people behave better when they know the other people are armed, and that any antisocial behaviors, anyone that makes their problem everyone else's problem, will be harshly rebuked with force if necessary. This creates a positive externality. Indeed, it is necessary to the security of a free state that the whole body of the people be organized, armed, and disciplined. Armed is just one leg on that triangular stool. The other two pillars, organized and disciplined, are equally important to advance a more socially harmonious society based upon the principles of justice. And equal justice under the law is its own positive externality. It is a social good, not necessarily so with democracy. Just because people want to vote, 51% can decide that they want to expropriate or even exterminate the other 49%. That's not justice. Democracy and mob rule is not justice. Justice is just behavior in human relationships. And if you don't want to fall prey to the divine right of kings, or believe in other superstitions that 50.1% get to decide what the other 49.9% do, then it can't just be democracy. There needs to be another boundary of order, and the only one that can be applied equally to all people at all times is the private property standard. But that is not sufficient to explain how to operationalize it. To operationalize the private property legal order, you need a population that is organized, armed, and disciplined to do so. That's what executing the law, repelling invasions, and suppressing insurrections mean. So you have the arms, but you also need to execute the law. What is the law? Do all you have agreed to do. Do not encroach upon other people or their property. Repel invasions. Invasions of what? Private property and public property. And in this way, this applies to the individual as well as the group. So you have equality, and you also have balance. And suppress insurrections. Insurrections against what? Insurrections against constitutional order. And I'm not necessarily talking about the U.S. Constitution or individual state constitutions. I'm talking about the Constitution of a free society, which is a contract for self-governance among people that share some affinity and an understanding of common law and mutual expectations of behavior. So the suppressing of insurrections against constitutional order is also a responsibility of everyone in a free society. And as much as we want to simply focus on the martial arts and leave politics out of it, I think that's impossible, because the martial is always embedded within the political. The political is the orchestration of justice within society, or another way of saying orchestrating coercion. It's inevitable because there will always be antisocial behaviors. Unfortunately, politics gets used to secure license, to take license with other people's property, and therefore disrupt the balance and social harmony that should come from people cooperating and restricted to mutually agreeable standards of behavior. So martial arts is always embedded in the political. Politics administers the legal, which in turn governs the legitimate use of force in society. And politics is always downstream from culture. To have a free society, it's necessary to propagate the martial spirit and an armed culture in order to fix politics. The cultural capital accrued from this is an added benefit.